The following program is furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content. Now, from the 5th floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Hey, good morning, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Welcome to Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga here, your host and your local Dallas-Fort Worth area realtor. Hey, time to talk some real estate and information. We got a great real estate and informational show for you today. Hey, welcome to your Sunday. Welcome to June 12th. I can't believe we're already nearly halfway through June. The year goes by faster than you can believe it. Unbelievable. We got a great show for you here today. We're going to be giving you lots of real estate information. Here's what we got going on. A little bit later in the show, I want you to tune in for this because the last month or so, we've had a lot of rain. And so this is a very timely topic. We're going to be talking about water damage and flood insurance with our resident expert in all things insurance, Richard Tonica from Goosehead Insurance. So we're going to be talking to him about that. Kind of keeping with the same theme here, we're going to be talking with Jared Benson over at Permapier Foundation Repair of Texas, and we're going to be talking about the plumbing side of things as it relates to your slab. And a lot of issues can arise, folks, when it comes to your slab and plumbing and foundation repair, and all these things are kind of tied in together. And additionally, we're also going to talk about water management, around your foundation. And so we've got some great tips and tricks. You're going to want to tune in for that segment as well. And then, of course, when we get into mortgage talk and real estate talk later in the show, we're going to be talking with Terry Wagner. And we got a great program that Terry has over at Supreme Lending Rockwall, the Seth Bonds program. And this is an amazing program. You're going to want to tune in for this a little bit later in the show. So stay tuned for that, folks, okay? Hey, we like to get into this day in history from time to time. We don't do it every single week, but we like to do it when we can. So let's get into a little bit of this day in history. Let's go back in time, folks. June 12th, all the way back in time. Let's see what happened. Let's take a stroll backwards in time. What do we got? Hey, let's go to 1665. New Amsterdam legally becomes an English colony and renamed New York after English Duke of York. Most of you may not have known that it was actually called New Amsterdam before New York. So there you go. 1665, at the same time, England installed that municipal government right there in New York City. So most of you may not have known about that. Hey, 1787, U.S. law passes providing a senator must be at least 30 years old. Now, of course, if you've been around and not under a rock for the last 8 or 10 years, you know that at this point it probably doesn't matter what our laws are as far as putting somebody in office, because clearly anybody can get into office without having to prove who or where they came from, where they were born. So I'm not sure that really matters anymore. 1792, Captain George Vancouver discovers what? As you might imagine by his name, he discovered the site of Vancouver, BC. That was back in 1792. Hey, let's go to 1898. Filipino revolutionary forces under General Emilio Aguinaldo proclaimed sovereignty and independence of the Philippine Islands from the colonial rule of Spain. So that was back in 1898. 1899, New Richmond tornado, one of the deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history, killed 117 people, injured around 200 people. That was back in 1899. Hey, 1903, Niagara Falls, Ontario, incorporated as a city. And folks, by the way, if you've never been to Niagara Falls, you definitely want to go. It's one of the most amazing sights you're ever going to see. So if you get into upstate New York or get into Ontario and Canada, then look, you need to go check it out. If you're going to Toronto on business, pleasure, whatever, Niagara Falls is a couple-hour drive away from Toronto. Very early on when I was traveling I started to do a lot of business in Toronto. I had no idea how much business I was going to be doing in Toronto, which ended up being a significant amount. But the second time I went, and I decided to make that trip down to Niagara Falls, a 2.5 hour drive, and it was well worth it. And if you're going to go all the way down there to Niagara Falls, definitely check out the Maid of the Mist. You want to get into the Maid of the Mist and just go out into the beast and feel the power of Niagara Falls. It was an amazing, thrilling ride and sight, and one of the things that will stick with me for all time. So if you ever make it up, like I said, upstate New York, or into Ontario, up in Canada, you got to make it to Niagara Falls. You've got to check it out. That was 1903. It was in Ontario, incorporated as a city. 1908, Lusitania, the ship crosses the Atlantic in a record 4 days and 15 hours out of New York City. 1917, the Secret Service said, you know what, we're going to also protect the president's family and not just the president. And so that was 1917. They decided to change that. 1943, Himmler orders the extermination of all Nazi ghettos occupied in Poland. Or in occupied Poland, rather. 1945, the U.S. 7th Marine Regiment conquered the summit of Konishi Ridge in Okinawa. That was 1945. 1955, on the lighter side, Mr. Peepers, the TV comedy starring Wally Cox, airs for the last time on NBC. That was in 1955. Mr. Peepers. 1987, Ronald Reagan, president, challenged Mikhail Gorbachev, and the iconic words, "Tear down this wall," were said by Ronald Reagan and reverberated around the world, and still so today. Such iconic words from the great U.S. President Ronald Reagan. 1989, Ben Johnson, an Olympian, admitted using steroids. And coming closer to the end of the line here, 1999, the Kosovo War, Operation Joint Guardian began. And that's really about it. We got a whole another 10, 11, 12, 15 years of time, but there really wasn't anything all that significant to mention during that time, the last since 99 on this particular day in history. So there you go. That was this day in history, all the way back in time, June 12th, all the way back in time, folks. So you know what? Let's talk a little bit of real estate for a few minutes. I wanted to bring to you a program that we haven't really mentioned too often before, and it's an investment opportunity, for folks out there. Now, obviously, we work with investors all the time. We help buyers and sellers, of course, in the traditional sense, but of course, we help investors. And investing in real estate, you could be doing a number of things. You can be renting. You could be a renter, a landlord, and you may have rental properties for the cash flow, and that may be part of your strategy. Or you may be a flipper. You may be looking for homes to flip, and that may be your strategy. Now, some investors may do both. But there's a third option, which is, rarely thought of. And this is honestly a great option for folks who are, in retirement or heading into retirement, where, look, you don't want to put the man hours into flipping a home, because flipping a home can be very intense, and generally you have to be on site. If you've got a great crew, a great contractor that can run your site for you, then that's great. But at the end of the day, it's not his money that's into this thing. It's yours. And so oftentimes when flipping properties, you have to be in it and managing it directly, very closely, because, hey, it's your money and you want to get that maximum return out of it. And look, things can go really south on flipping a property very quickly. We've seen so many foreclosures that were half flips. They only got about halfway through and they just didn't have enough money to cover their butts, and they had to get out of it. So it's not like flipping is that easy. And then on the rental property side of things, look, not a lot of people in retirement or heading into retirement want to deal with either property management companies that are going to have to manage the properties or managing these rental properties directly. Because, managing a rental property directly, you have to realize that you may be having to deal with evicting someone at some point. And generally most landlords will have to deal with that at some point, get through their property management company or directly. And that's a very long process and a bit of a pain in the butt. But that third option I'm talking about is actually becoming the lien holder on a property. We can help you invest in real estate and become the lien holder with full foreclosure power over the property. So guess what? When you hear about real estate backed investments, et cetera, they're just throwing your investment into a pile along with everybody else's investment. But what we do is we take your investment and apply it directly to one property, which means you obviously have to invest a certain amount of money to purchase an entire property. So what we do is we purchase that property for you through a company, and we allow you to become the lien holder on that property. So you don't have to worry about managing it. You don't have to worry about the renters, and you've got full foreclosure power, and you're the sole lien holder on this property in first lien position. So it's a great investment opportunity. It's a 3-year opportunity. It's an interest only, very solid return. If you have any questions about that, you should get with me, folks. We're coming up against a hard break, but I wanted to mention that to you, and get with me, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, and just ask me about that investment, project, and I'll get that information to you. Folks, hey, we're going to take a short break and come on back. Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga.
Attention homeowners, we started out looking for 50. Now we're down to 30 homeowners needed throughout the Metroplex to participate in our home evaluation program. We'll take out your old windows and install new energy-saving windows at test market pricing. Call Royal Windows and More at 1-800-242-1893. It's time to think about warmer weather. Get new Thermo King windows with double-coated low-E glass and give your home an energy upgrade. Protect your drapes and furnishings from damaging UV rays. Get beautiful windows that tilt in for easy cleaning. Call 1-800-242-1893. Be one of 30 homeowners to receive special savings on new windows. Save 50% on labor. Ask about 0 down and 0% interest. Plus, call now at 800-242-1893 and we'll treat you to dinner for two with your in-home estimate. On the web, royalwindows.com, and call now with your zip code and location to qualify. 800-242-1893.
With over 3.5 million square feet and 5 DFW locations, Ideal Floors has you covered for all your flooring needs. Whether you're looking for carpet, tile, laminate, wood, or vinyl plank, Ideal Floors has you covered. And with their price match guarantee and their 100% satisfaction guarantee, they are the absolute best in DFW for all your flooring needs. Call Kevin Hamus, the owner of Ideal Floors, at 214-789-0422 or go to idealfloors.com for all your flooring needs.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Time for another insurance segment with our favorite guy in all things insurance, Richard Tonica of the Goosehead Insurance Agency, owner of, by the way. Hey, phone number where you can reach Richard anytime for all of your insurance needs, 817-286-2002. That's 817-286-2002. And remember that number because, trust me, folks, you want a better policy in anything home, auto, toys, or other. You're going to want to check him out. He can shop over 20 different brands for you, get you the best policy at the best price. Look, I don't know anybody that hasn't gone to Goosehead and said, hey, they've gotten a better price and a better policy that hasn't gotten that. So trust me, you definitely want to go to Goosehead. You want to go to Richard Tonica and get that from him. Today we're going to talk about, with all the, great topic, with all the rains we've had, feels like 40 days and 40 nights of rain here. So let's talk flood insurance. Richard, how you doing over there?
I'm doing well. I think I saw an arc just pass by my house the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that when we're talking, when I talk to my customers, I pull up three things. I talk about their home, I talk about their auto, and I talk about flood policy. Because although you may not have ever had a flood in your house,
you don't want one either.
Exactly. Because if you ever do have one, it's not going to be covered by a normal policy. Most people think that that water damage is going to be covered by your policy. It's not. There are anything that's from the ground up that comes into your house and floods your house is going to be a separate policy. If you don't have that coverage or that policy, you're not going to be covered. Your homeowners will not cover it unless you have that policy. So that's one of the things that I talk to all of my customers about is, are you insuring most of your house or are you insuring everything? Because what insurance is really there for is on your worst day, making that worst day not
worse.
as bad. You don't want an extremely bad day to turn into an extremely bad life where you're paying for all this stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah, and guess what? If you still have a mortgage on your house, even if part of your house is destroyed, you still have to make the mortgage payment.
Exactly.
Even though maybe your insurance doesn't cover the issue,
the repairs or anything else,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're gonna come out of pocket on that, and that's one of the things that flood insurance helps to mitigate.
Yeah, absolutely. 80% or so of all claims are going to be water related, and so many of those folks, they weren't covered. They didn't have the right water coverage, and just because you're not next to a lake or the ocean or a creek doesn't mean you can't get a water issue there at your house. That's for sure.
And I've had customers, FEMA comes in. FEMA is the one that sets the boundaries for the floodplains.
Right.
And so when they come in, they periodically change designations for different areas.
Yes.
I've had certain customers that have never had a flood policy in their life, never had to have one on their house. Now they do, just because of we change our topography as we add more houses and we come in and we're changing the surrounding areas. We're also changing the runoff of water.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you may not have needed it in the past, but that's not to say that you're not going to need it in the future. And you may think that a flood policy is extremely expensive. It's going to be another $1,000, but it's not. Very rarely. If you're in a floodplain, yes, it's going to be more expensive because you might be just as surprised next year when you have a flood claim as you were this year when you have a flood claim.
Right.
But for the most part, if you're in a area that it's not designated as a high risk, you may still need to look at a flood policy. It's one of the things that, like I said, I promote to every one of my customers. Do all of them take it? Absolutely not. Do a majority of them just pass on it? Yes. But it's at least I'm doing what I think is right for my customers, is to make sure that I present them with all the things that they need in order to cover their assets, because that's what I'm here for. Make sure that everything that you've worked so hard in your life for, that it doesn't go away because of a decision to save $50 or $100 here and there.
Right. Yeah, when it hits you, and you want to be taken care of when it does. Yeah, talking about, FEMA, when we're, out with buyers, buying new houses, we're looking at the surveys of these homes, existing surveys on these homes. Sometimes we need a new survey. But those surveys designate whether or not it's in a particular FEMA flood zone. Sometimes it's not. And if not, then there is no flood insurance required. But if it is in one of the flood zones, then absolutely the flood insurance is required for sure.
Yes.
And it's just mandatory.
Yes.
And so that will have to be taken care of. But like you say, even if you're not in one, you want to be covered, because you're right. Our topography does change all the time as we concrete everything. The water's got to go somewhere.
And you may see all this rain and coming in, and then you just, I'm going to get a flood policy tomorrow. No, you're not. A typical flood policy, you have a 30-day wait. They're not they're not new to this game where they're just going to, you need a flood policy, no problem, come on over.
Right.
No, they make you wait 30 days, see if you have a claim or anything else.
Just
and
make sure there's nothing fishy going on there.
They're going to inspect your house. They are going to come out and do their inspection, do their due diligence, and then after that 30 days is up, then yes, you can have your policy, but there is a 30-day wait.
Right. So no fast ones. No fast ones at all. Yeah, I mean, I had an issue, back when I moved into my place. This was, I don't know, maybe 12, 15 years ago, something like that. I'm actually one of those warehouses that has a basement. And on one side of the house, there wasn't, when I had moved in, there wasn't a lot of sod on this one side of the house. And so it just rained like you wouldn't believe that year. And one of the window wells filled up with water. It filled up about 3/4 full, eventually cracked the window, broke it. All the water comes flooding in, and it just keeps raining. And so it flooded the bottom level. And I mean, it didn't get too high, maybe mid-ankle, something like that. But
that's too high for me.
Yeah, it's still, I can navigate it in the boat. But yeah, it was just one of those things. And I never thought, I was like, I've never had water in a house before ever, and of course, now I just managed all that myself. I just dealt with it and, took out the carpet. And from that point forward, there's no carpet in the basement. Just decided, what, we're going to, do a stained concrete kind of thing, but, that was an issue where it could have gotten a lot worse, and that could have been an issue where maybe I needed a different policy. Now I didn't make a claim at all. I just, I figured it wouldn't be covered anyway, and I just took care of it myself. But that's probably one of those issues there, that you never foresaw. I never thought I'd have water in my house, ever. I'm not next to a creek. I'm not next to the lake or anything like that. So there you go. That just goes to show you never know what might happen.
No, you don't. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you navigate through that. You hear all the insurance jingles, the what ifs and all that, but that's really what we do is we're here to make sure that you're covered in the case when you need to be.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, look, with all the rain that we've been having, now's a great time to get with Richard and think about water damage. There's different kinds of water damage, and you'd be surprised that your homeowner's policy probably doesn't cover quite a bit of it. Maybe you want to think about a flood policy separately or just adding additional coverages to make sure you're covered. Because look, folks, if something does happen to you at your home, more than likely it's going to be related to water somehow, some way. And trust me, water is, I tell you, it's a force. Water is a force. It is a destroyer. It really is.
It really is. I've had friends of mine that have come home from vacations to find that they had a busted pipe, and half of their house was absolutely destroyed. And had another friend that when they came home from their vacation, their water heater up in the attic ended up bursting, and it was absolutely, it's amazing how much damage water can do in just a short period of time.
Yeah. And by the way, I hate seeing water heaters in the attic. I really do. It's a very common practice now with the new builds.
Yes.
And sometimes there's even two of them up there in the attic. Ooh, I don't like that. I really don't like that at all. I would rather see them in the garage. But folks, hey, give Richard a call, 817-286-2002, 817-286-2002 for all your insurance needs. With all this rain, now's a great time to check with him, check your water coverage. You might want to need a flood policy separately, but just check everything. If you got toys, motorcycles, boats, RVs, you can check in with Richard. I bet he's got a better policy for you at a better price. Another great insurance segment with Richard Tonica, Goosehead Insurance Agency. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. We'll see you in a few.
Guys, are you tired of being tired? Frustrated because it seems impossible to lose belly fat? If you're looking for a solution, then listen to Mark.
I had fantastic results with the Andro 400 Max. Probably lost 35 pounds, and more impressive than that was the inches I lost off of my belly and my waist. And the increased energy is fantastic. I'll be totally honest, I tried a different product, and I wasn't happy with the different product. You guys are considerably cheaper than the other brand, and I can really feel the difference.
Andro 400 Max, the extra strength, all natural testosterone booster. The safe, easy, and affordable way to gain energy and lose stubborn belly fat. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. Feel and look like a new man. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
The Richard Tonica Insurance Agency in Arlington has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the Richard Tonica Insurance Agency Network. Richard can quote over 20 A-rated companies to find the best fit for you, the best policy at the best price. Call Richard today at 817-286-2002. It's the Richard Tonica Goosehead Insurance Agency, 817-286-2002.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. Website InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. We're here with Jared Benson of PermaPier Foundation Repair of Texas. You know, look folks, foundation repair is just a permanent part of what we have to deal with here in the DFW Metroplex as homeowners. And so, you know, we're always talking to Jared about tips and tricks of, you know, what to do to avoid it, but if you need it, how to deal with it. And today we're going to be talking about plumbing as it relates to foundation repair. And so, you know, Jared, how are we doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. Good morning. Thanks for having me back again. I always enjoy being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I always enjoy learning and getting schooled by Mr. Jared here. So let's talk how plumbing relates to it.
Yeah, plumbing. So when people have foundation repair performed, it's a big ticket item. It really is. You know, an average repair is going to be a couple of grand at least. There are bigger ones. There are smaller ones.
Sure.
But what a lot of people fail to think about and fail to realize is that when the foundation repairs have been done and the crew leaves the house, that's not when your problems always stop. We always like it when, you know, that's all the customer has to deal with and there's nothing after the fact. You know, they have a past plumbing test, but that's not always the case. So we're talking about plumbing. And I said a past plumbing test. The reason what we're going to talk about is so important today is because of what all foundation repair companies have in their fine print. No matter what an evaluator tells you or what the contract says you're getting, if you look at the foundation repair company's fine print, they're going to tell you if there's a plumbing leak, it could very possibly void your warranty. So some companies, the ones you don't want to work with, they're not going to tell you about a plumbing test. They're not going to mention plumbers. They're going to get in and get out, and they're never going to say anything about plumbing. And you're going to call them back 2-3 years later, and you're going to say, hey, please come back out and look at my house. They're going to say, please have a plumbing test done first. And then you're going to have a leak, maybe. And then they're going to tell you that there's no warranty anymore. Most companies that, you know, Mike, that you have heard of, that you've seen around, people who work in the real estate arena, they're not going to do that. They are going to make sure their clients have a plumbing test performed or know that they should have a plumbing test performed.
Right.
They might leave it up to the client, or they might actually schedule it, include it in the bid, but it's just a plumbing test. So you get that plumbing test done, and it's either going to pass or it's going to fail. If it passes, you should be good to go. You have a valid warranty, and you're going to be A-okay, at least for now. And that's how PermaPier does it. We actually require you to have a past plumbing test before we even tell you there's a valid warranty, because we don't want to misrepresent it and tell you, oh, you've got a warranty because we did repairs, when you haven't repaired a leak yet.
Right.
We're going to require that leak to be repaired before we come back out, do adjustment work or something like that.
Sure.
So it protects you or maybe your buyers in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how often does that happen is really, people hear it's like, oh, well, okay, this is why I want it done, but how does it affect me? I got a little bit of bad news, Mike. About 30% of homes that have foundation repairs are also going to need plumbing repairs.
Okay.
So if you can do some quick math in your head, what's the good news? Yeah, some people like that joke. Some people
right.
don't.
Like most everybody doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so about 70% of homes aren't going to have any problems as it relates to plumbing after the fact.
Right.
And the next question that a lot of realtors like to ask when, you know, they're going to have to recommend a plumbing company to come out and do work, or a foundation repair company, whichever comes first, is how often does foundation repairs cause the plumbing? And that's a good question because it can happen. Mm-hmm. Improperly lifting a foundation definitely can cause a plumbing issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they overlift, if they lift somewhere they shouldn't lift or something like that. But even a properly executed lift and a stabilized foundation, everything done perfectly, can still cause a plumbing issue. But that's not the only way plumbing issues are caused. A foundation settling over the course of 10 years, slowly crushing an old cast iron pipe, that can cause a plumbing issue. And then sometimes the cast iron pipe has actually sprung a leak, or a root has intruded, and there's leaks, and the leaks can cause a foundation issue. So we don't always know which one came first, whether it was the plumbing leak that caused it, the foundation issue that caused the plumbing leak, or the lift that caused it. But that is what, that's about 30% of homes. And then people are like, well, people like to ask very specific questions. What about my house? What about this? What about that? You got to kind of use common sense. If someone tells you that he's guaranteeing that you won't have a plumbing issue, you should get a second opinion.
Yeah, because there's no guarantees.
There's no guarantees
in life, much less this.
Yeah, much less, I promise you, in foundation repair. So the next thing is, well, where's your problem at? What type of sewer system or plumbing lines do you have? How big is your issue? Just to give you extreme examples, if you have a half-inch drop in your garage where there's no plumbing lines, you're very unlikely to have a plumbing issue after the fact. If you have a 3-inch drop next to your sink or your kitchen or your bathroom, or plumbing lines, or a sink or a toilet, and you have an old cast iron system, cast iron, they kind of started phasing it out around 1980. You might still have it early 80s, most likely not. Anything older than that, you're likely to have cast iron or clay maybe for a few years, but those systems are much more likely to be brittle and break if the issues are in areas that have those type of systems. So 3-inch drop in the kitchen with an old PVC system, or where the line exits, you're a lot more likely to have a plumbing issue.
Yeah, because let's talk about some of the basics here. We're talking about plumbing, and people think, plumbing, it's a big deal, and of course it is. But when we're talking about the actual materials that take care of our plumbing, bringing the water in or taking the water out as wastewater, these materials, they're not bulletproof, let's say.
Yeah, especially that the outtake, the sewer lines.
Exactly, and they're going through our slab. We're talking about most of these homes are going to be on a slab, so they're going through the slab. So they're already under a bit of pressure anyway, as they're going through the slab, connecting underground, and so they're under pressure anyway. And then you take the natural shifting that we have around our foundation to begin with.
That's right.
Which is every, summer and winter, there's extreme temperatures. And then we go and apply foundation repair to it and jack up maybe one side or multiple sides, try to level out additional pressures. So it's kind of obvious, looking at it in one aspect, you'd almost expect for something
exactly
to cause the plumbing to go ahead and deteriorate. It's already deteriorated over time anyway. You'd almost expect a plumbing leak, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely in older homes, like you're saying, with cast iron, it's very common.
Yeah. Now if you're in a pier and beam home, obviously a totally different story.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the same issues all of us slab owners have.
Yeah, and what's really cool about the pier and beam homes is, even though with certain repair types, a company's still going to want a plumbing test, you can visually inspect most of that plumbing when you're under there.
Right.
And tell.
You can see it.
And I've actually been under a house where I didn't need the test to tell me there was a leak because someone flushed it when I was under there. So,
surprise.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason that the underside wasn't drying out. Yeah.
That's right.
So definitely pier and beams, it's less likely, it's less common that there are plumbing leaks. It's certainly less likely that any sort of foundation repairs or foundation movement caused the plumbing leaks.
Right.
But positive is you can actually see most of the piping and see where it may or may not be.
Yeah. And whereas a slab, you just can't see it.
Yeah.
Unless you dig it up.
And that kind of gets to what we might talk quickly just about how the plumbing repairs work is they do the test, and that just tells them if there's a leak or if there's not a leak. But if there is, they have to go in and figure out where the leaks are and what's going to take to repair. And those services aren't free. They generally have to, run a camera through your plumbing lines, the sewer line at least, to figure out where the leaks are visually. So it's time consuming. An average 2,000 square foot home could take anywhere from, 3.5 to 6 hours with a guy using a camera that's running through all your plumbing system. And that's plumbing's not cheap. It generally runs about $100 an hour. Mm-hmm. And that's just to tell you what's wrong with your house. So it can be a frustrating process, especially for homeowners who aren't prepared for it and don't understand how it works and everything. So,
yeah, absolutely. It just goes to show, folks, when you do need foundation repair, and look, most of us, our homes are going to need it at some point and in their lifetime. My home, 40-something years old, and it's, a lot of us are in those 40-something-year-old homes or 30-something-year-old. You'd be surprised. You think about a house. Oh, it was only built in 85, Well,
that's 30 years
85,
old.
Yeah.
31.
It's older than we think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then what about the folks that live in those subdivisions built in the 50s and 60s?
Yeah, I'm in a 55. I did that math. My home is more than twice my age.
Right. Exactly. So look, and with our soil conditions here, we're going to have foundation repair, but it's paramount that you pick the right company.
Yeah.
And so talking about plumbing and understanding plumbing like your company does is extremely important, because you don't want to just fix one issue to have another issue.
That's right. Yeah, we started a plumbing company about 3.5 years ago because we just couldn't find a plumber that we liked and thought we took good care of our clients. So we offer a whole package in one. We can do the foundation and the plumbing. No one's required to use our plumbing company if they don't like us or they don't want to use it for some reason. But we feel like it's the best option for most customers to get be able to deal with the same company for the whole aspect.
The whole process.
That's right.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think we've got some good information out there about the plumbing side of things to folks. Folks, by the way, if you need foundation repair, you just need a check on foundation repair. Maybe you need that plumbing check. Permapier.com is the website.
Yep. You can reach us at 214-637-1444. Or permapier.com. You can even schedule appointments online with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let them know you heard it on the radio, and they will get you taken care of. Folks, another great segment with Permapier Foundation Repair of Texas and Jared Benson. Hey, Inside Real Estate folks, come on back in a few.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Permapier Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Permapier Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Permapier at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapier.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
Far from the shores of home, two African-American U.S. Army privates fight for their lives on the battlefronts of World War II. The first Black War correspondents fight to cover the perspective of the black soldier. The novel A Private War, it weaves all this and more into an epic World War II era story of friendship, conflict, religion, and redemption. Get a copy of Private War, a novel by Perry Cockrell today, now available on Amazon.com. And tune in regularly to Inside Real Estate Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. to hear Perry Cockrell, attorney at law, as he provides expert analysis of the latest and greatest in legal news.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Permapier Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Permapier Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Permapier at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapier.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga here. Time for Mortgage Talk. We got Terry Wagner back in the studio. By the way, here's the phone number for all of your mortgage and refinance needs. 866-607-5667. If you want to hit their website, it's rockymartin.com. Rocky Martin, that's Rocky with an I-E, for all of your mortgage needs. And of course, you can always hit our website and bounce over, insiderealstateradio.com. Terry, how are we today?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How about you, Mike?
Good morning. I'm doing good. I'm ready to learn some more mortgage. And you know what's funny? As much as I do know about your industry, because we work hand in hand all the time, every time we do a segment, every time we do the show, I still learn new stuff all the time, and I learn stuff I forget.
Me too.
So
when I'm helping someone out that's new in our industry, that's the first thing I tell them. Once you think that you know it all, that you have all the answers, they're going to go change it, and you're not going to know it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and even if it's a similar or same situation you've dealt with maybe a year or two back, even 6 months back, there's something new with this situation because every situation is totally different, and there's some circumstance that has changed.
Oh, yes.
Or some rule that has changed that we're going to handle it slightly differently. You know, our industry that is hand in hand, but it's always in flux with new things going on, and so I'm excited to learn something new today. So teach me.
Okay, well, I thought I would talk about bonds again. I know that we've talked about that a couple of times on the show, but there is just such an interest in it that maybe we're talking to someone today that hasn't heard one of our shows about the bond programs.
Okay.
Because they are really special. We have the availability to help individuals that just cannot seem to put together the money for a down payment to buy a house.
Right.
And this program allows them to do that with very little, and in some instances, not very much money out of pocket at all. Less than what they would pay if they were renting a house and having to come up with security deposits and other things that are required there.
Sure.
So I picked out one of the bond programs. We have 3 separate bond programs that we do in our office. And again, not all mortgage loan officers are able to offer these. So you certainly want to call one of us at Supreme Lending because we are well versed and we know how the programs work forward and backwards.
Right. Yeah. And trust me, folks, I mean, I've worked with other lenders out there. And, you know, it's why we work with the best, and they know exactly what's going on about all of these different programs and are up to speed on all the latest and greatest. And that's why you really need to give us a call on this because, you know, how about getting you into a house for darn near nothing?
Right.
And we're going to talk about one of those programs right now that we could get you in on.
Okay, so the first thing that comes up when we're looking at someone, if someone qualifies, is what's your credit score? You have to have a minimum of a 640 credit score. Again, we've talked about credit over and over again, but if you don't have that 640, we can certainly take a look at the credit report and see what we can do to get you there.
Right.
But on this particular bond program that I wanted to talk about today, it allows your income to be up to $80,156 a year. That's a pretty good income.
Sure, and it's not just $80,000; it's $80,156.
Right. That's right.
Now, if it's $157, you are out.
You're out, and trust me, you are out at $157.
That's
But
right.
anyway, so you can make up to $80,000 a year and still qualify for down payment assistance, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean it's huge. I mean,
Right.
you know, that's yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just, you know, what a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm probably not going to qualify to get down payment assistance program or a first-time buyer program assistance, all these things that kind of, these words are a lot of times interchangeable.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, that's going to surprise, I think, a lot of people out there that you could make up to that amount. Now that's household income, right?
No, that's what I wanted. That's what I was going to talk about next, Mike. That is just the people that are on the loan. So let's say, for instance, you have a husband and wife that want to buy a house, and the husband makes $80,155 a year. He qualifies, and the wife makes, I hate to shortchange the wife. Let's say she makes $80,000 a year too. Okay.
All right.
So we'll just do the loan in one party, but not both. So we'll just do the loan in husband or wife, and the other party can be a non-purchasing spouse, and we still qualify.
Now that is huge right there because, all right, if you're listening, folks, honestly, you could make up to unlimited dollars really per year in the household. You know, let's just take the two people, you know, husband and wife. They could really make up to an unlimited amount so long as one of them makes the qualifying amount $80,156 below.
Correct.
Then we can make this happen.
And I just had a call from a customer yesterday that I closed on a bond program this past year, and he was frustrated at one of his friends I told him to call you, Terry. I told him to call you, and he didn't do it, and he went to somebody else. And they're telling him he and his wife make too much money to use one of these bond programs, so just forget it. You're going to have to come up with the money yourself. And so I explained to him again, we just have to use one or the other. We don't have to use both of the incomes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, what about debt to income ratios on that? Now, I know things are totally different, when you do have two parties,
right.
that are, you're married and they're purchasing the house, even if one of them is non-qualifying and not on the mortgage. How about, because generally that debt has still got to be counted.
Right.
What are we doing with that?
If we're doing an FHA loan, which most people that use the down payment assistance, that's the most popular loan type, is the FHA loan.
Sure.
Texas is a community property state, and we do have to include the non-purchasing spouse debt in the purchaser's debt to income ratio. So that is something we have to look at.
Right.
And sometimes that can create a problem for us, but we try to work around any of those issues. But yes, we do have to count both parties' debt.
So so a lot of times, good news is that we can qualify you under just one income,
right,
as long as that income's the $80,156 or below. The other party can make whatever they make. They can literally make $750,000 a year.
Right.
It doesn't really matter as long as one party makes the $81,156 and below. However, if one party's got excessive debt, or combined you have excessive debt, that may throw things off a little bit. But generally, most people are usually not in that situation.
Right. That it does come up. It just doesn't come up very often.
Right.
And there was a change to these bond programs this year from the bond folks. We are restricted to a 45% debt to income ratio. Before we could go up to a 50, but now we're restricted to 45. So they did tighten that a little bit on us.
And that's still a pretty big amount.
Oh, yeah.
It's certainly a big amount for one person.
Right.
Two people, it's still a pretty big amount too.
Right.
So.
And then the assistance that they get, they can choose what level of assistance they want. An FHA loan is going to require a 3.5% down payment, and then you're going to have closing costs on top of that. And if we don't have any seller's assistance, let's say they need 7.5% to buy this house total, down payment and closing costs. Well, you can get up to 6% in down payment assistance, and it's not just going towards just the down payment. It can be down payment and or closing costs. Okay.
Right.
So they can use 3%, 4%, 5%, or 6% down payment assistance. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the more assistance that you use, the higher the interest rate.
Right.
But we're still dealing in record low interest rates.
Right.
So it's not significant.
Yeah.
It's not a significant increase. It doesn't jump up 2 points because of it. It less than a point is what we're looking at on the increase in the interest rate.
Yeah, and most people are going to take that, hands down, because, you want to minimize your out-of-pocket expense, number one. Number two, a lot of people really do need this. They don't have those funds set aside anyway, although they may have them and not know about it, because we've talked about this, what you add up in pet deposits, security deposits, first month rent, all those dollars are actually there. But not taking those funds into account, and maybe limited funds in your bank accounts or whatever, they need these funds, so they'll take that, get out of the rent race and move into home ownership. But even if you do have some of those funds available anyway, a lot of people say, hey, minimize my out-of-pocket expense. It's, very low dollars on to the mortgage payment to take a slightly higher interest rate. And like you said, even if you do take that slightly higher interest rate, the interest rates are so low anyway, it's really close to free money anyway.
Right. Well, and that's one thing that I wanted to add as well, Mike, is let's say you have money in the bank. You just don't want to use it. Well, some of these programs, you have to prove you don't have the money.
Right.
Not these programs. You can have money in the bank to take care of this yourself. We can source that money, show it, and we can still use this down payment assistance as long as you qualify using all of the other criteria.
Right.
So, yeah, you can still, for instance, you can use the 3% free money because the interest rate on that program is pretty close to if you didn't use anything at all. So why wouldn't you?
Right.
Just utilize the government giving you 3%.
Yeah,
they're not giving me 3% free money.
Right.
I would take it.
Yeah, well, whenever you can get something, from the folks,
from the government,
you better take advantage of it, right?
Absolutely.
So, if you do have some money in the bank and you'll want to use that for maybe getting some new furniture.
There you go.
Maybe getting a new refrigerator, getting some appliances and all that, and then you can do that. But don't do it until after we close.
Yes, we've talked about that.
Do not purchase anything until we close on the deal. So, folks, this is actually a really great program. If you're listening to us, you can tell it's kind of a somewhat liberal program because you can literally have unlimited household income, so long as the qualifying party makes $80,156, as we said. The combined debt-to-income ratio is 45 or less. You could have some money in the bank even to cover your down payment, even though you're going to be getting this down payment assistance, and you can get up to that 6%. So, what an amazing program to get into a house, and it's very inclusive because the annual income is pretty high.
Right.
So it can cover a lot of people.
And there are no first-time home buyer requirements. So you could be selling your home and purchasing another one and still qualify. A lot of people have the misconception this is a first-time home buyer program, and it is not.
Right.
So you don't have to be a first-time home buyer.
You could be in your home and have owned many homes before, and you can still work for this one. So, again, the restrictions on this particular program are, like I said, very liberal, and it's very inclusive to a very wide demographic of people. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to call us about this program and let us get you taken care of. By the way, phone number for that, 866-607-5667, Rocky Martin website. Rocky Martin Rocky is with an IE. Anything else closing up on this one?
Just call us and let us see what we can do to get you qualified for this program.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the greatest programs ever as far as I'm concerned. It's just too open to everyone. Well, I don't want to say too open to that. That's a bad thing. It's really open, and that's a great thing.
Right.
And it's very inclusive. There's just a huge number of people that could utilize this program, and so many people are not going to know about it because when they think down payment assistance, they're going to think low income and people that really need it. And there's certainly those programs for sure, but this program is just kind of wide open and just a great tool for home ownership and just a great thing for home ownership. So all those folks that are out there renting right now, hello, you need to call on this one for sure. 866-607-5667 is how you can get a hold of Terry and the Rocky Martin team. It's been Terry Wagner with Supreme Lending Rockwall. Again, the website rockymartin.com. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga. We'll be back in a few. Folks, it's Mike Kruizinga here with Inside Real Estate Sports Entertainment on 570 AM KLIF. Did you know that virtually all of us will experience a fall in the bathtub at some point in our life? Well, statistically, it's true, and as we get older, a fall in the bathtub can spell disaster, as we just can't recover the same as we did in our younger years. Don't let something as silly and preventable as a bathtub fall put an end to all your special plans you have lined up for your golden years. Invest in a Hydrojet walk-in bathtub. Made in the USA and with the lowest step in the industry, Hydrojet walk-in tubs has your best interest at heart. With no commission sales staff or huge warehouse overhead, they build and sell direct to you, saving you thousands of dollars over their competitors. Call Randy, my friend and owner of Hydrojet Walk-In Tubs at 855-980-8827 or go to hydrojetwalkintubs.com. You'll be able to speak with Randy directly, and make sure to mention you heard about it on the radio. And for you veterans out there, there's a grant available for you to cover the majority of the cost of a walk-in tub, making it darn near free. Call Randy at 855-980-8827 or go to hydrojetwalkintubs.com today. Far from the shores of home, two African-American U.S. Army privates fight for their lives on the battlefronts of World War II. The first Black War correspondents fight to cover the perspective of the black soldier. The novel A Private War, it weaves all this and more into an epic World War II era story of friendship, conflict, religion, and redemption. Get a copy of Private War, a novel by Perry Cockrell today, now available on Amazon.com. And tune in regularly to Inside Real Estate Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. to hear Perry Cockrell, attorney at law, as he provides expert analysis of the latest and greatest in legal news.
KLIF.
Neither the hosts nor the guests or contributors of the show Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga are attorneys,
CPAs, tax advisors, or investment advisors, and are not providing legal advice during the course of the show. If you need professional legal advice or services in any of those categories, please seek the appropriate professional. The host is a licensed real estate agent in Texas with the Chris Arnold Premier Realty Brokerage, a fair housing broker and member of the MLS. Texas real estate agents are prohibited from providing legal advice.